This is the video review for Carbot Sonic Boom, Pager, and Giant Loader. And here's the back of these smaller boxes. And a really nice thing they do is the insert on the inside is entirely cardboard, so these are really biodegradable, which is really nice. And then there's this box for Giant Loader, which is way bigger than it has to be, has a plastic clamshell insert, so it's got a lot of plastic on the inside. And then the back of the box looks like this, pretty similar to the other ones. Here's how he looks with other Carbot figures. I don't have very many, but these are the ones that I like. And this guy's a custom that I made to look more like a standard dragon. And here he is with Tobot and Transformers. He doesn't come with much as far as accessories goes, but he does have these kind of electronic cubes, which are pretty cool looking. And those are used for some kind of morpher gimmick or something. They plug into like this wristwatch thing and probably make lights and sounds. He comes with this sword, which unfortunately doesn't do anything special for the combine mode and looks pretty terrible from the back. And I just noticed that this slot is almost exactly the same size slot as this tab here, but it doesn't quite fit in, unfortunately. That would be kind of a cool play feature, but those just are these are too big. And looking at the robot's face, to me he looks kind of like an orangutan that has like a tiara on or something. It looks very weird. This head sculpt is probably a 1 for me. This is a pretty bad looking head. It just does not look cool or good at all. Very interesting, but not good. Not in a good way. So overall, his body looks like this. So he's very bulky, takes up a lot of space. These actually join together to make his fists, to make his forearms, but then you lose some articulation. So I'll go over that in a minute. But overall, his 360 look is pretty interesting. I really like this color scheme, even though it's a little bit, it's kind of got a Power Rangers look to it, but kind of dark because there's so much black. If they would have lightened up the third color or the fourth color a little bit more and brought out more of the red, blue, and yellow, it would definitely be very Power Rangers looking, but it has a really toy look to it, which I really like, even though it looks a little bit like knockoff territory. So not very much paint going on. As far as his articulation, the head does not rotate at all or move it in any way. The arms can rotate all the way around, and his backpack wings can be moved out of the way so they don't clash. And then he can get like some in and out on the forearm area, but he does not have any elbow or bicep swivel. If you separate these, you can kind of fake an elbow and a bicep, and you can give him some more arm articulation, but he still can't bring his arms in this way because this knee just folds the wrong way. And then down here, he does not have waist swivel at all. These hip skirts do move out of the way so he can kick all the way out, and he can kick all the way forward. And then he's got pretty much 90 degrees on the knee. He's also got a good thigh swivel, so a thigh cut. Nothing on the ankles at all, because this piece just like pegs in. Okay, and I had him mistransformed. I forgot that his shoulder panels actually go like this, so I don't know if that makes him look better to you. And then his forearms are supposed to peg together to look more like this, and then you get these really gigantic fist blocks that just don't really look much like fists. I really prefer the way that they look separated. So that's really all about the combine mode. What you see is what you get. So to uncombine them, you take off the head crest and the chest crest, and these cannot be swapped This has to be the head, this has to be the chest. This does not fit up here at all. It'd cover his whole face if you tried. And then you just rip off the arms. And then this is your main robot. You're going to put him aside. So you have these two identical cars, and they transform the same way. So this combiner port just folds all the way up, and then you can see the robot head is inside the port. So you rotate that out, rotate the head around so it faces forward, and then these shoulder bits become the arms for these smaller robots. So you rotate those in place, split what's going to become the legs, and then these fists now become the toes, and then you do the same thing for the other robot. Okay, here's the other robot, and you're just going to take these spoilers and they become kind of boomerang weapons that just peg into their hands. And before I finish disassembling the combined robot, overall I would say he was kind of a 6 for me. I feel a little bit lukewarm about how this robot looks, but he fits together really well, which is nice. So you take off this trailer section that just clips onto the back here with these two clips right there. And then you just yank off the feet from the bottom. And the way those work is this just slides into this slot right here. And then you're going to rotate up the feet. And then the core robot of Giant Loader, his arms are behind his back now. You just rotate those forward. And that's basically his uncombined mode. And then you give him back his sword. Okay, and the last step, you're going to take these feet sections and you're going to rotate them up. And then this is just going to peg right onto the outsides of his shoulders. And then there is one bit of transformation that you do on this trailer. You just flip it all the way over, and then you rotate this yellow cockpit section up. So now you have this thing, which is kind of a flying vehicle. So you take these smaller robots, and you flip up their feet and peg their legs together. And now you have this peg and these pegs here, and they're going to peg into the flying vehicle in these notches. Okay, and this is how the robots look together. Now these two are on their kind of like flying sled. And this is how Giant Loader looks. Unfortunately, the way you have to peg these in make them really stiff-legged, so this is not a very natural looking pose for them. Okay, that looks a little bit better. At least they included this option so that the extra trailer bits can do something in robot mode, so at least it has some functionality. Okay, and this is how the robots look together, and these guys are basically Voyager-sized robots. They're pretty similar to that size. And the articulation of these figures is pretty good. You get 360 on the head, you get 360 on the shoulder, you get about 90 degrees on the elbow, and a full forward kick, kind of hindered back kick, and then less than 90 degrees on the knee. You get thigh swivel, and then there's no ankle articulation and no waist. So overall, I think these figures look a lot like Transformer Armada figures. So from a long time ago, these are pretty terrible looking figures. The heads are generic. The colors just do not work well together, but that's kind of a typical Carbot thing. They just look cheap and terrible, and they don't feel great either. They feel solid, it's just they seem really spindly looking and they just don't look right. I'd say these two robots are probably like a 3 for their aesthetics. They just look like knockoff robots. They don't look like anything special. Giant Loader is still looking pretty good in this mode, especially with these shoulder wings. So I would say he looks as good as he does in combined mode. He's probably like a 6. These feet are just kind of awful looking, but otherwise he's still looking pretty good. So he hasn't really lost anything by not combining with these two. And the only new articulation on this guy is now these arms, which are very flat. So he's got these tiny flat forearms, and these do rotate. They do have bicep swivel for the transformation. Well, actually, no. Actually, this can transform. Yeah, it's mostly for the transformation. So that's why that has that unexpected articulation. Okay, transforming these figures is really basic. You're just going to take out this boomerang, flip up the toes, push the legs together, straighten out the elbows and click them into place. And then you're going to open the combiner port, fold the head away so you can't see it, fold it back up, and then just collapse these door sections down, crunch them into the section with the legs, and then finally you just take this section and this accordion's back to make the car section, which looks like that. And then you take the spoiler and peg that in back here, which makes the car look a little bit less generic. I realized I actually do have an Armada transformer, so this is kind of how they look together. I think the Armada guy looks better, actually. Okay, here's how the second car looks. They look almost identical, which does not help things. To get Giant Loader ready, you're going to take off the swords, the sword and the shoulder pieces. You're going to flip up the feet so they're out of the way, and you can see that you have almost an entire back section of a truck already. So you just clip the two legs together, and then this whole waist section will rotate backwards, and there you go, you've got the back of the truck already. And then you can probably guess the arms fold back for the cab mode. And they sandwich together like that, and that just leaves the front grille, which opens up, and then that you're going to rotate the whole head section down, and then put this chest section, grille section back in place, and then finally these front wheels rotate here, and then you get this vehicle mode. And then you take this flat trailer section, you're going to rotate this up. You basically just open up all the panels, make it 3D, and then it's got this really cool secret compartment in here, and that's where this sword stores. So I really like that they included that weapon storage. So you fold that back down, and then this basically is going to make this shape, and then you can fold up the sides to close everything off. And there you have most of a trailer. And then you're going to notice this trailer is missing wheels, and that's where these come in. So you're going to notice this fits pretty much exactly right here, and it's got a little clip right there, and on the bottom of the toe right there to click into place. Okay, and to get this ready to combine with the cab, you're going to fold these toe sections down to get out of the way, and then the cab is going to clip into these little, really hard to see clips right here, these slots, and then you fold down this cockpit section. Well, actually it doesn't use these slots, it's just going to use these ones on the back of the vehicle again, just clip here to the front of the trailer section. And then basically these little tabs on the toes are going to peg right here. So you just rotate that in, and that secures everything pretty nicely. And there you have a completed car carrier. Okay, the car carrier is looking pretty good. It's got these real big combiner dents in the windows, but otherwise it's a pretty good chunky looking truck. It feels very solid. These cars I really don't like. I'd say these are a 2, just generic Transformer cars. And then this truck, probably a 6. Pretty good looking, interesting color breakup. So then the back here folds down, and the cars can drive right in. Oh, and you can actually lower this ramp, which is a really cool feature, and this car can drive in, and it actually does catch at the top, so it will just sit up there, and then you can use this lever here to release the vehicle. So that's a pretty cool feature right there. And then you can raise this back up, and then drive the second car underneath, and then you can close up the rear. So that's The vehicle mode has a really cool play feature. I really like that. Everything's incorporated and it becomes a robot together. The play factor for me is the really interesting part. Here's how they scale with Tobot and Transformers. They're kind of like right in between the sizes. A little bit too small for Tobot and too big for Transformers. So the quality of this set is really up there, probably a 9. These smaller robots feel a little bit cheaper, maybe because there's no paint on them. And the play pattern's really fun. I like that this trailer has a use in every mode. So as far as the figure, playing with it, it's pretty good experience, and the transformation is chunky and enjoyable, straightforward. So the fun factor is really an 8 or a 9. It just feels really good. And I've always wanted a car carrier robot that can combine with the cars. So this is as far as I know, the first time that's finally happened. And I like the way it pulls it off, but it just doesn't quite work all the way for me. But if you're really into this kind of robot, you can buy from Soon 2935. I'll leave a link in the description.